So last week I went to the Pokemon World Championships in Anaheim, California, and it was honestly a lot more than I actually expected. I'm going to be talking today about what I learned, what I liked, and what I actually did. So Pokemon World Championships 2025 was held in Anaheim, California in the Anaheim Convention Center right across from downtown Disney and everything. And the last time they were there was in 2017. I was at that World Championship as well as a spectator, but at that time I would say it was much different. It wasn't on the scale or the scope that it was this year. And that's kind of that's one of the many things I want to talk about. So let's start with what I did at Pokemon World Championships. I went with some friends on one of the days where we didn't really have any badges. And so we were just mostly walking around the outside area, just see what we could get into, what we could do, what we couldn't do. And there was actually pleasantly a lot to say that we could do. They had a lot of cool Pokemon stuff going on in the surrounding area. I am an avid and active Pokemon Go player and almost level 50, almost. And they had an activity that where you get close proximity to the event, it registers on your game, and you get kind of a quest that isn't available to everyone. So if you're in that area, you get this quest, and it was a bunch of just pretty straightforward stuff of, hey, catch all these Pokemon, spin all these Pokestops. They had special Pokestops available for the event that aren't normally there in the convention area. And so it was very active and very, like, there was a lot of people just there for Pokemon Go. You see them after spending so many years playing. There's a certain like manner and movement that you see folks take, and it was very apparent many people were there just like for Pokemon Go, which is really cool. So yeah, there was Pokemon Go stuff happening all weekend long. And they ended the weekend with something that I missed out on, which was really cool. They were about to do this whole Eternatus Gigantamax form, and they made it first available at this event before the rest of the public got access to it a week later. I unfortunately left the day that was released on the final day before it was finally released. I didn't know it was going to happen, but it was like a cool surprise. So that aside, my friends and I were walking around, and there was a bunch of outdoor booths set up that were for pin trading. And so much like Disneyland, if you're familiar, they have these little areas where if someone's staff is there, they have their lanyards or they have walls, and as long as you have an official pin of some kind, you can trade with them. And so near that pin trading area was like a place where you could just buy some basic pins. And so my friends and I were like, let's just get some whatever pins and see what we can find on the walls. And they're just really easy and readily available and accessible. Much of the shop and these sorts of activities where you can get some merchandise or anything like that was relegated to the Pokemon Center, like the official shop, which you needed reservations for weeks or months. I'm not quite sure, but those were sold out a while ago. And so it was appointment based. And if you didn't get access to it, then you weren't going to get it the day of, which is unfortunate. We didn't really realize what the rhythm was. But I think like any of these larger events, like a Comic-Con or a Pokemon World Championships, they have to have that kind of structure. Otherwise, it's chaos. And even with those structures, it is still chaos. So having events like this or little one-offs like the pin trading. And there was actually a mini shop as well where I went to go pick up my badge in one of the separate, the north area of the convention center. And we saw that there was a little mini shop there that had just a small selection of stuff. And so I got a few things, and we each got a couple of things that was really neat. I got a little Charmander shiny plushie and a few cool knickknacks and stuff and deck boxes and stuff like that. So that was cool. And yeah, so besides that, we were just walking around enjoying the scenery. There was a giant inflatable Pikachu with a welcome to Anaheim kind of laid out right in the front, where typically in the Anaheim Convention Center is like a fountain area where people take lots of photos. And they kind of designated that as the thing to take a photo with. And it was a really cool kind of setup and layout. So we took some photos there and got a chance to like look around and see cool cosplay. So that was really neat. But that was about it for Friday when we hung out. After that, we were pretty tired and exhausted from a long week, and so chilled. And then I went back with my spectator badge on one of the other days, and that was pretty neat. And I want to talk a bit about that. Outside of the shop, which was, again, like I said, it was its own separate area of the convention center, so it was kind of like segmented. You didn't really have access to it or visibility of it. The rest of the event for the spectator is open, and that whole area was really cool, where they had kind of three main sections. They had the kind of historic and display based kind of section of it, where they had a lot of the timeline of all the consoles and all the generations of Pokemon on display. They had a bunch of displays out for where all the prior championships were held, and the specific styles of Pikachu. Pikachu in every version of the Pokemon World Championships has a different kind of attire on him, and so each of the prior ones had a bit of a different look to him and a different costume, different outfit, and all the different things that went with it. They had all that on display. They had a whole creator section where you could meet famous creators in the space. They had, or even folks that have worked on different Pokemon projects, and a bunch of other things that I'll have some footage of playing while I'm talking. And then a whole other section which was just photo ops. Like, they had that in two real areas, but you could do all these like photo ops with these statues or these figures, or they had mascots coming out. So I was really excited. I was hoping I was going to get a photo with Snorlax. I was in line to get a photo with this Snorlax, and he unfortunately was too tired. He needed to sleep, so I got Pikachu instead. Not a bad consolation, but my boy Snorlax, I was really stoked to see just be there, which was funny. And then, ran into some cool creators. They had a section where they were like during a set time meeting and taking photo ops, but I was in line for a different photo opportunity, and I ran into a YouTuber, and it wasn't a YouTuber that I'm only privy to, like the card games or the video games. This YouTuber was doing, I was inquiring a bit with them, and they were telling me they do like fashion and lifestyle for Pokemon. And I thought that was really cool because I'd never heard or seen that before. But they were like dressed up in all kinds of cool attire that was very Pokemon themed and blinged out. And I was like, oh, cool. This is very on brand. I see it now. So that was neat. And then also, I had some Pokemon cards that I had from Japan. One of my friends was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to gift them to you. Maybe you can figure out, maybe they're worth something. I don't know. And I looked at them like, this is from like when I started playing, but the Japanese variants and stuff. And so I saw PSA was there, who typically grades Pokemon cards and various other collectibles. And I was like, you know what? This is convenient. I don't have to deliver it, so I'll just get them graded here while I had them. So I took them in, got them graded, which was really convenient, hoping they grade well. And that was most of what I experienced. I didn't watch. They had the competitive space, which was the third area, with the main hall. You could watch it either via like a large space where you could have seats, and they had screens displaying it. But if you wanted to watch it live, they had a whole separate arena connected but limited seating, and so that had a huge line. And I was like, look, I'm only here for one day for a limited time inside, so I wanted to try to get the most for my time. I didn't watch any of it in person, but I was following up on it the later days just to see what it was, because it looked very interesting, and I heard people just chattering around about it in lines and stuff. So with that, I kind of want to talk about what I liked about this year with Pokemon World Championships. The abundance of the photo ops, I think, was one of the coolest things. Like I said, in 2017 they were back, or they were here, and it was not sparse, but in comparison, very sparse. Like, just by seeing how much it's changed from 2017 to 2025, they've added a slew of new things to be able to do and take photos with and have some fun experiences. So like, when you got there, like, not only are you taking photos with a bunch of folks that are dressed up as Pikachu or Snorlax or whoever else, they had a giant statues and figures that were really well made and detailed. They had staff on hand to hand you like replica Pokeballs to take photos with them. It was a little bit of a premium kind of like feel and vibe to like being there to take these photos, which was really cool. And I really dug that. And I tried, I was taking off photos with my camera. I asked, people were helping each other take these photos. I took my 3DS just to see if I would meet like Street Pass folks, because that was one of my favorite things with my 3DS, was seeing who you run into with Street Pass. And I forgot it has a camera feature, so I took a few photos of various things at the convention with my 3DS's camera. Did not turn out the best, but it was a little fun, little nostalgic moment. Um, so I enjoyed that. I felt like the amount of things you could do without a spectator badge was also really cool, and I really commended them for that. Again, all the stuff I mentioned on that Friday, I went with friends. Like, we had a good time. We spent like maybe 2-3 hours there and had a blast. It was a lot of fun, chilled. The space was lively. There was a lot of things to see, take photos with, hang out. If their lines weren't too long, some of the things on Friday, which was cool, was like they had a play labs, which is they kind of let you test out the card game or the video game or something. And if you do participate, they give you a little like souvenir pin or gift or something. Which again, if you could get in line, or if you had the patience to wait in line, like having that available just for anyone was really neat. And then the space was varied. I really enjoyed that about it. I liked that it wasn't just a competitive scene. They had this scavenger hunt thing that kind of has you go through and discover all the different things. A scavenger hunt starts you off with like going to the place to get the pin, like the lanyard and stuff, and they give you one pin there. And then you go to other areas and you can try to trade for pins or be given pins that are part of this scavenger hunt. And each of them was like, meet a creator, talk to a staff, go to this area. And it was as supplies last, but just having it be like a little bit of an interactive way to get you to go through the whole World Championship experiences was really cool. And I really dug something that makes things interactive in that way, where it's like, hey, you should be doing this. You're already maybe doing this. This is now kind of like an added gamified way of doing that, which is really neat. And yeah, those were all the things that I liked about Pokemon World Championships. Now, I want to end with, what did I learn from the championships? And I gotta say, this year, if anything, what it taught me more than anything was there are so many ways to enjoy Pokemon. I've been a lifelong fan. I grew up with it. My dad, when I wanted, like, I was like really lucky when I could get one game a year, 2 games a year. I'd save up or I'd wait for like a birthday or a Christmas type of thing and be like, that's my game for the year. One year he'd be like, hey, do you want a Game Boy with this game? As opposed to and it was like a spur of the moment, like it really caught me off guard as a kid. And I was like, yes, I'd love to, if I can get the choice to, I'll pick Pokemon Blue and this Game Boy. And that was it. That was the beginning of this whole journey for me from then till now, being into the space, the fandom, the community of it, the everything like that comes with it. And like I said, there's so many ways to enjoy it. Back then, it was really just games, toys, and the shows. Now it's like I said, there's lifestyle fandoms of it. There's artistic fandoms of it. There's so much beautiful art on all the cards and just general artworks that people make. There's cosplay around it. There's just, if there's a way to enjoy Pokemon, like you would find it in it, like really here, but that exists now. And this place was kind of like a celebration of all those different ways that you can enjoy Pokemon. And I thought that was really cool, because even with Pokemon Go, it's just like something, some people enjoy it for just the ability to like, hey, I want to be outside, I want to go for my walks. Now, this is a way to kind of gamify that. And I meet so many people, and there's just so many different ways to enjoy all these things. Recently, this year, Pokemon Pocket TCG, the phone app version of the card game, has really enticed me and 2 of my friends to start playing. And I just hit Master Ball rank on the latest season, so I was really proud of that. But that is its own little like corner of Pokemon now, and I'm just like, it just really energized me to like what I love about it. And the new one, the Pokemon ZA, coming out soon, being excited about that. And who knows, maybe I kind of been like digging into, what does the competitive scene look like? How does one aspire? Because I know I'm not going to be World Championship, but it'd be fun to compete. Competing is fun. And if it's approachable and stuff nowadays as opposed to before, who knows? But I learned how many different ways you can enjoy Pokemon, and I thought that was one of the biggest takeaways I could walk away from this, from a collective aspect, from a story aspect, from a community and travel and friends aspect, to art. Just so many different ways to enjoy it that I think it's really cool to see it go in this direction. And next year, it's going to be in San Francisco. And they're going to be doing a new thing. Instead of it just being one space, they're having the tournament space as well as a convention focused on it called Pokemon XP. And I'm really curious how that unfolds. In the meantime, like I said, I'm going to try and start learning the competitive scene of the cards and or video games. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll compete next year. Stay tuned for that. But I'm curious, did you attend or want to attend Pokemon World Championships? Has it ever been something you've experienced? What was your experience like, and did you find it like as the way I described, or somewhere was your experience different? Would you ever want to go? I'd love to know. Let me know what you think. That's it for this video. Thank you again, and I need to rest up before I go to PAX. So I'll talk to you later.